Hey, sports fans, this year's biggest series in baseball features the Astros from Texas, the Lone Star State, versus the Nationals from Washington, D.C. D.C. is on a winning streak. We are first in hockey and first in women's basketball. Onward to winning the series and onward to becoming America's 51st state. Let's go, Nats! Learn more about Washington, D.C., the 51st state. Visit statehood.dc.gov. Paid for by the Office of the Senior Advisor.
Morning, everybody. I'm KCReginaldJr.
It's your man, JW, Justin Waters in the building.
Welcome to UnderDawg Sportz. Welcome to the show, everybody. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about today. Everywhere from the horrible officiating in the NFL to, of course, we're going to cover the Texans, Chiefs, and Steelers. Start things off as J-Dub. We're going to start off with the NFL and their officiating.
Well, let's just go down to this is going to be part of the Texans game. So last week, the Texans were on probably like the 10-yard line. Deshaun Watson did an elusive move. He got caught, didn't fall to the ground, and was able to get the ball off to D-Hop for a touchdown. And the refs called it back, saying that he technically was sacked. Now, and I had to look it up. Most cases is if you're sacked, that's either one that you have the inability to move the ball, one factor. Two, you're on the ground, or the play is so much out of bounds or out of perspective that there's no way that the play can get off. None of these were the case. Deshaun Watson's hand hit the ground, not his knee, not his leg. He was able to get the ball off. The NFL refs even went to replay, and they still kept the call, which does not make any sense to me because the call was completely wrong. Even the guys that were the NFL, I guess what you call experts, the former referees on the show, said that this probably was not a good call by the referee. So this is the second week in a row we were talking about bad officiating, and how did you even do a replay showing the same exact play and you still played it saying that was, they actually called it incomplete pass and then they called it a sack on Deshaun, although he never hit the ground. I don't get it. It's just horrible.
So I saw this play. I saw the initial replay, and I understood why they blew it dead because I saw the official running in as Deshaun was in the grasp, and that's the rule. He was in the grasp of the defender, so they called themselves trying to protect Deshaun Watson. I'm a Chiefs fan, so this kind of happened last year in the game against the Patriots where Breland Speaks lets Tom Brady go because, he was in the grasp. But this time they did not blow the whistle. So the NFL has to get a lot better, especially in this particular instance of defining what's a sack when you're in the grasp. I understand they want to protect the quarterback, but some of these guys like Deshaun Watson or Ben Roethlisberger, they wouldn't have blew the whistle on Ben Roethlisberger. It can't be a one-off. It's some of these guys are big enough, strong enough to escape. Some of them aren't. But this is a bigger topic about more than just this Texans game. The Texans were the victim this time, but last week against the Chiefs, they were on the opposite side when their pass interference that wasn't. So it's all in all, NFL officials, like we talked about a little bit last week, you just got a new contract. You're still not full-time. You only got a trainer. The NFL should be really conscious of what they're putting out there as far as officials and their competence, because like we talked about a little bit last week, with gambling being legal, they're costing a lot of people money.
A ton of money. I agree with you with that. The other factor also is if we're going to go ahead and have all these things to help the officiating, like the pass interference flag, stuff like that doesn't make sense to me if it's still at the end of the day, it's not helping the game at all. The officials are still making bum calls. The plays are still wrong. It just doesn't, like, what are we doing here? Come on, guys. This is, like you said before, this is all about gambling. This is about money. And it's costing a lot of people money. It's costing teams games. I mean, let's be realistic. The Texans, that drive could have won them the game. At the end of the day, if we got to put it into the refs' hands, this is almost like going back to when the NBA was talking about point shaving a couple years back. If it's going to go down to where we'll have to put the game in the refs' hands, it's not going to look good for the NFL. It's actually going to probably turn a lot of people off because, especially the people in Vegas who that's their lifestyle is gambling and being brokers and stuff like that. I'm not going to go ahead and put it in the refs' hands if it's either player, team A or team B, not the ref. Period.
Yeah, and my big problem with the NFL is they know this is a problem. This is not just the first day, first year, first season. Like, for the last 10 years, we've seen by instant replays, whether they're official or not, how bad these officials have been. There is technology out there that was introduced by the AAF, the now defunct AAF, where there's a drone that's over the game that corrects bad calls. The NFL, in their protection of the referees or the officials, refuse to adopt this technology. And if you're trying to make the game better, why the hell are you refusing to adopt technology that can make the game better?
You made a good point maybe a couple weeks ago on the podcast. If it's going to be like that where the refs are controlling the game like this and this outcome, then you need to have them sit at the podium. So it should be players, coaches, referees sitting at the podium and describe what you guys call at the podium instead of protecting them and finding NFL players $10, $15, $20, $25,000 for
$12,500 this week for what's the guy, Baker Mayfield.
Thank you. For commenting on stuff like that, you need to go ahead and go have those referees in that locker room because basically y'all protect them. The referees, once the game is over, they're the first ones to change clothes and walk out like nothing happened. But you may have cost a play or a game or something to a player. I mean, I remember years ago when Sean Alexander and Curtis Martin were fighting for the rushing title, they pulled Sean early because the refs weren't calling plays down the line. Like they kept calling They kept calling holding calls on the Seattle line, and actually two of those calls were not true. They went to replay, and one of them actually was a 30-yard drive that would have got Sean the rushing title, but because they kept calling the plays, Holmgren got pissed off and benched Sean and just said, as long as we win in the game, we don't care anymore. But if you guys are not going to call it fair for my guy to win the rushing title, then I'm not going to put him in. I'm just going to hold him out and make the cost. That cost Sean that year in particular the rushing title. He won the MVP, but that cost him a rushing title just because you guys were making bad calls. And they were. So, again, the NFL needs to really, really fix this now because this is not going to get better. Now with the Raiders going to Vegas, now you have to pay attention to Las Vegas. And those people in Vegas, like I said, I was there 2 months ago with my wife for our anniversary. They don't play. They gonna want their money, and people aren't afraid to sue the NFL for losing money. I mean, and they should.
Absolutely. So on this, especially this pass interference thing, this really bothers me. Why have a rule if you're not going to enforce it? Why have a replay of a rule if you're not going to enforce it? And again, like I talked about making these referees answer for these terrible calls. These guys are paid too, and they're costing people jobs, head coaching jobs, for them not to be held accountable for their actions. These game-influencing calls is just mind-boggling to me in the age of accountability.
I agree with you. But again, now they said the calls, there's been 27 now. Last week it was 25. Now 27. Still only one turnover.
Makes sense.
Which basically makes me feel that your system doesn't work. So why use it? So why make this big ordeal, put it on ESPN, have Goodell go ahead and referee it? All that to me made it seem like this. hey, we messed up in the New Orleans Rams game last year, so we're going to go ahead and implement this. We're going to put a Band-Aid over it, but we're not going to go ahead and try to fix it. And now this Band-Aid is slowly but surely coming off again, so it's showing this big NFL wound. And Goodell's like, well, it is what it is. But again, what happens down the line where it's a playoff game that could implement a team going through the Super Bowl? Because let's be realistic. The Rams shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl. It should have been the Saints. It should have been the Saints. But in the same note, look what happened. And then the ratings were so down on that Super Bowl because no one wanted to see the Rams versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl. You want scoring. You either want legends playing against each other or you want scoring. That wasn't going to be the case in either game. It was a blowout. It was a horrible Super Bowl, and even the halftime show sucked. So it was a waste of time. But the NFL got to do something fast because this is not going to work for them down the line. But we'll see. Good luck to whoever is trying to go ahead and fix this again because, again, this is just another sequence of the NFL that they need to really, really – I don't know what they need to do, but they need to do it fast.
Well, they need to get it done because, again, people are losing jobs. People are losing money. Some people are losing their homes behind this. Anyway, so like we said last time, NFL officiating still sucks. We can literally lead the show off every week with how bad the NFL officials are. But let's talk about something more positive, I guess. Justin wanted the topic, Lamar Jackson. Is he now an MVP candidate? This is yours, so I'm going to let you take it.
Because you don't like Lamar Jackson. Of course,
I got stats ready for you, bro. I got where he ranks among the other quarterbacks. I got all that to show that he's not.
But here's the thing. The one stat that you're not going to mention is the fact that team is 4-2.
And so is all the other MVP candidates.
Right. So that's telling you
But
something.
Where does he rank amongst them MVP candidates?
No, he's fifth. He's the last. He's not number 1 or 2. He's fifth.
Fifth?
He is fifth.
I'm looking at fifth. On the screen I'm looking at right now. I have Patrick Mahomes in the mix, not number 1. I have Deshaun Watson in the mix, not number 1. I have Tom Brady in the mix, not number 1. I have Russell Wilson in the mix, not number 1. I have Aaron Rodgers in the mix, probably number 1. Come on, how do you put him fifth? I just gave you 5 quarterbacks, all of them that are above Lamar Jackson.
Touchdown Tom is not being touchdown Tom. What's saving the Patriots' ass is 1, the division is terrible. 2, look at the teams they've beaten for this quarter of the season, including my Steelers. None of them. They only have one team that has a winning record.
I'm sorry, I got Teddy Bridgewater at this point above Lamar Jackson.
Now you're just losing it. You just don't like Lamar Jackson. That's a personal thing.
I'm just saying the kid is 4-0.
I think it's something with you and Baltimore Ravens.
No,
Lamar, Ray Lewis. It's something with the Ravens.
Yes, but no. And we will talk about Ray because we're going to talk about this list. But yeah,
you got to admit the kid is winning games, and he's doing it anyway, which way, and how.
I mean, that's his job to win games,
bro. But I'm saying against your traditional quarterbacks, your Phillip Rivers, they finally getting the Wentz love off. Your Dak Prescott.
Well, Wentz was overrated from the beginning,
but I think Dak's overrated from the gate.
Well, I don't know that Dak is overrated outside of Dallas.
Dak's overrated. Sorry.
Dallas and Skip Bayless.
The team MVP is the guy with the nose ring and the ear piercings and the mushroom haircut that's running the ball.
Yeah.
And that's number 21.
Yeah.
But he is winning. You got to realize this. Lamar Jackson is winning with basically, I wouldn't exactly say the greatest offense. I mean, you have a rookie wide receiver, a second-year wide receiver.
You wouldn't necessarily say the greatest offense, or you would say that it's definitely not the greatest offense?
Oh, it's definitely not the greatest offense at all. That's what I'm trying to say. You have Mark Ingram, who's a shell of himself. I don't even know who the other running back is now.
Ingram's been a beast this year. Come on, what's up with that?
Who, Ingram?
Yes.
He's been a beast on third down and short yardage. But who's been getting him the long runs? Period.
He's never been the big play back. He's a
well,
ground
that's
and
because
pound.
the system he was in.
He's a ground and pound bust-like runner, and the fact that you're not appreciating that makes me wonder if this is the son of Pittsburgh on the line with me right now.
Wrong, because I was the first one that was pissed off that we didn't draft Mark Ingram, but he went higher than what we expected. I was waiting for him to come slip down to the Steelers, and he would have been a perfect replacement because we were getting rid of Mendenhall, thank you, Jesus, and he would have been a perfect fit. But we didn't get him. He went higher than expected because I think he went in the top 15 or 20, and we were at that grade. I think we had just come off AFC Championship loss, so we were in the bottom tier. Regardless, I love ground and pound because every famous Steelers back outside of Le'Veon was a ground and pound back. Of course, going back to even Franco Harris days. But Lamar Jackson is winning. He's winning. He's untraditional as hell. If the man, let me put it to you like this. Michael Vick said he's better than him. Michael Vick said Lamar Jackson right now was better than me in my probably fifth or sixth year before I've gone ahead and win a 1,000-yard season. The only problem is I see Lamar Jackson trying to eclipse that 1,000-yard mark that Vic did back in 2006, and I think don't do it because you'll kill yourself. Vic just wanted to prove a point, and Atlanta wasn't that good that year. So
He was
he's
never
the
same afterward.
Well, he went to jail the next year. So, I mean, we can't really even talk about it. The next year, Vic got arrested, went to jail, and that was all she wrote for that. When he came back, he was a pocket passer. He would scramble on occasion, but he was a pocket passer.
But, bro, the award that you're talking about is the most
the
valuable
MVP.
Player of the National Football League. He's not it, and he's not in the top 5.
Yes, he is. Because if you take that man, if you take Lamar Jackson and put him in with his backup, which I think is not, if I'm not mistaken, is Matt Schaub, Baltimore is not winning any more games. Sorry. They're winning games because of two people on that team. One, the kicker.
He's more valuable to the league than Tom Brady.
He's more valuable to the league than Tom Brady this year? Yes.
He's more valuable to the league than Deshaun Watson.
No. I said top 5.
Russell
I didn't say
Wilson.
number 1.
Right now,
I
Kirk
said top 5.
Cousins.
No.
Kirk Cousins has eclipsed him, bro. If you look at these numbers, in every category, except for rushing yards. I'm looking at the numbers. Go to NFL.com right now.
But not wins.
I am putting up wins. How many wins do the Vikings have? 4.
And they're 4-2.
And so is Lamar Jackson. And Kirk Cousins thrown 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Lamar Jackson has thrown 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Now here's the other question I got to ask you. Where's Devin Cook at with that one?
Huh?
Where's Devin Cook with that one?
Who?
Devin Cook.
Devin Cook? I mean, I'm just telling you the numbers.
Because you got a hell of a running back versus you have a squad that does not have breakout running back like that.
I'm talking about the numbers. And obviously, Jackson's getting some help with running the ball because if he wasn't getting some help, then his numbers would be higher than Kirk Cousins.
But you always got to point one thing. Numbers don't equal wins. You can have a quarterback that don't have the traditional
They both have 4 wins. Kirk Cousins got the bad rap after a couple bad losses, and I still don't believe in Kirk Cousins. But if I'm looking at these numbers right now, statistically, Kirk Cousins is the 6th best quarterback in the National Football League, and Lamar Jackson is 16.
Kirk Cousins is a great game manager. When you have a strong running back, you have a top 10 running back and a top 10 defense, your ass better just go ahead and do it. If we're going to go like that, Mitchell Trubisky is better than Lamar Jackson.
No. Mitchell Trubisky isn't even on my list. He's not even in the top 20 right now.
But he should be 29.
I'm just
saying. Right now he's 29 statistically. But, again, there's a strong defense, and he has a somewhat good running game if they can figure out how to use Cohen right.
Like I said, I'm just going off of numbers, bro. And
I'm going off the fact is the kid's winning games. Everybody sat there and doubted this kid. Yes, he's not going to be a traditional quarterback. It ain't happening.
Nobody
did.
Who?
He should have. A lot of people that he wouldn't have slipped into the draft the way he did.
I'm just saying you're premature on the MVP debate on him. That's all.
I don't think so. I'm thinking we all to the good on the MVP. The kid is going to be a star. Well, if he's not already considered a star.
On the line right now. He's one of the top 5 quarterbacks you want.
Game on the line? No, but did I say that?
mean,
Game
come
on. Oh, wait, I'm
on.
gonna take it back. Hold on, wait. Where's the ball at? Where's the ball at?
At the
Where's the
freaking
ball at?
20-yard line, you got 2 minutes left to go. And I don't
No,
mean
because
inside the
it's
red
line.
zone.
If I get to the red zone, hey, I might have to mess with
No.
the kid.
I said an 80-yard drive is what you need.
80-yard drive? No, not at this point. But
Okay.
then again,
So
you have quarterbacks in the NFL that can't do it. You have a guy that you can't stand that I wouldn't trust on an 80-yard drive nowadays, and that's Phillip Rivers.
I mean, I don't put him in the top 5 for the MVP either. His team is 2-5 right now.
Do I trust Dak on the 40-yard or 80-yard drive?
No.
Without Zeke?
But I'm not considering any of those guys MVP candidates. You are. And
Cam?
me,
No.
and to me, in order to be an MVP candidate, Cam ain't even playing yet. But to me, in order to be an MVP candidate, you got to be able to take my team down the field with 2 minutes left and win me a ball game. And if you can't do that, you can't be in the conversation.
Let's be realistic. If you're an MVP candidate, why even got to worry about the last-minute drive? You should be able to blow out the team. And he's been doing it. He's blown out several teams.
It's still a team football game. And
I get it. But
every
still,
quarterback.
You're looking at one drive, one play.
That's right.
Position.
Because
But
if
you
I
don't
can't
have to
count
get
on
to
you
that
in the
point.
clutch, well, he's going to have to get to that point. Wait till he gets to the tournament. You're not going to blow teams out in the playoffs. MVP means that I can count on you in those moments.
To the tournament. That's the scary point.
I'm just saying.
Unless they have an epic crash, he's going to probably get to the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, duh. I'm not saying. I mean, the division right now is pretty weak. So
I'll give you
that's
that.
not saying much.
Everybody has a losing record but them.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is they're winning games. That's the scary thing.
Against mostly the division. That's pretty whack right now.
Well, we'll see
That's
about
what I'm
that.
saying. I mean, when they play the Chiefs, they lost.
Either. They played the Chiefs, but we're going to always go back to the Chiefs. I'm
going back to when he plays a winning team.
I'm
going back to when he plays a winning team. Yes, it's easy to beat teams that are off their game this season. I don't put him in that conversation yet. I think we're premature. I don't say he's not capable of getting there. I'm just saying he's not in the top 5 right now.
I'm still thinking that, but we'll display that one. We'll keep seeing. There's a couple more games.
We will, because I have a feeling we're going to be debating Lamar Jackson for a long time.
Indeed.
All righty, so we're going to move on. The NBA season started this week. So we're a little late on our predictions, but it's only like the second game, and this is a 82-game season, so we're not all that late. So with that being said, who you got for MVP this year?
Okay, so my MVP, and everybody's been giving it to Kawhi Leonard. I still think to this day that man 23 in Lakerland is going in. Okay, let me rephrase that. If they don't put load management garbage on, if he doesn't go ahead and start doing that BS, he's my MVP candidate. If he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder, I'm going with LeBron.
You are definitely
going. Because LeBron is going to
go Harden over that. I thought you were going to come with Giannis. I mean, I wanted to have a debate. I'm not going to talk about LeBron James.
LeBron. Here's the thing.
No,
Giannis is my second.
He's going to sit out 20 games this year, bro. You know it, and I know it.
And I said that. I just said it. If they don't do this load management bullshit,
that's not they. That's him.
Well, that's true. If it's not him, Giannis is it. And I have a dark horse. And people think I'm tripping because I've been saying this for the last 3 days. The dark horse in the NBA this year could be Joel Embiid. If he is healthy.
He can be healthy.
If he stays healthy, which is always a big if, he is the best player. He's the best big man in the league. Quote me. Even better.
Yeah.
Even better than that guy, than LeBron's sidekick right now.
Yeah.
Better than Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah.
He's a little bit better than Karl Anthony Towns. It's just unfortunately Karl Anthony Towns, who I'm a big fan of, he's just in a bad team.
Giannis is a big man, too.
Giannis is playing small forward. Well, I just watched the Rockets game. He's playing small forward, so I'm saying big man. I'm going with your 4 or your 5. Giannis is playing the 3. So Giannis would be it if he's playing the 4 or the 5, as far as we're talking about big. He's playing the 3. But That's my dark horse, and we can't count Giannis as a dark horse because he won the MVP.
Yeah.
So he's the you know what I mean, he's the reigning MVP right now. But my dark horse is that. So I'm going LeBron. I'm going Giannis. I'm going dark horse Joel Embiid. And I'm gonna have to say this. I'm gonna go out with the Rockets, but I'm not picking Harden. I'm picking the other guy.
I think the way I saw Russ play the other day, I think he's more adapting to this than James is. But we're gonna get.
And that's it.
We're gonna
I
get
think
to
it's transition.
Yeah.
I we'll get to that point.
We're gonna get to that. So my MVP, and you can call me run of the mill with this, but I like Kawhi. I think the Clippers are the best team in the association. I don't think it's even close. This is just the deepest team in basketball. And until they see the Sixers in the finals, yeah, I've already kind of called my finals, but I don't care. I don't think it's marginally close. And I love the Rockets, but that's just how I feel.
I told you they're fourth in the West. Here's the thing with the Clippers. And I'm looking at the rosters on the first game when they were playing. The Clippers did something that all the rest of these new dynamic duo teams didn't do. They added 2 superstars, but they kept the core of their team.
Absolutely.
And their team is basically were a bunch of
ex-Rockets,
second-tier players, ex-Rockets. I mean, I was the first one to say, I wish we had this podcast
Chris Paul trade
years
is
ago.
about to get the Clippers a championship.
I was the first one to say, I wish we had this podcast years ago. But I was one of the first ones, and my brother-in-law, he probably listened in and said, the Chris Paul trade was not a good look when they had to give up PB.
You're right. I wish I knew you years ago because I said the same thing to Johnny, and it wasn't about PB. Mine's was Lou Williams because Lou Williams was better than Eric Gordon. I saw it then. I see it now. And
I give you that.
And it ticked me off that they gave up Lou, and the Rockets are going to see their former team win a championship and look sad in the process.
The other thing was Montrezl Harrell, and I was like, why did you give up? You gave up your hustler guy. And the funny thing is last year they went and got Kenneth Faried, and you had to spend $10 million on him, who still is a free agent, which makes me feel he's injured. But
no,
you
he
had
wants more money than anyone's willing to pay him.
Yeah, maybe. But you had Kenneth Faried, or not Kenneth Faried, excuse me. You had Montrezl Harrell from the gate, which was pretty much a 1-inch taller version of Kenneth Faried, a hustler guy, and he is shining over there.
Yeah, he shined when he played in Houston. The guy just plays hard basketball.
Well, you know what that is. Since he's not a shooter, he was gone.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, and he wasn't
when
big
you
enough.
keep Ryan Anderson over Montrezl Harrell, this was strictly based off of shooting.
Hey, Ryan Anderson is a Rocket again.
Yeah, but he has a non-guaranteed contract, so he can get cut any single day now.
He didn't play the other day, so I don't know why.
I don't know why he's on the team. But, again, I do think that this is going to be interesting. And you already said your NBA prediction as far as the Clippers and Sixers. I can't get mad at you with that. I was actually going to say the Clippers and Sixers as well. Long as they don't implode
or Embiid doesn't get hurt.
And the bigger other factor, if Embiid doesn't get hurt and Ben Simmons figures out his game, because all they've been talking about half of I actually talked to you about it a long time ago. All they've been talking about all offseason is they showing highlights of Ben Simmons hitting threes in the gym and against this team.
That'll never be his game.
And then he hasn't attempted a three yet. He attempted one in the preseason, and all of a sudden the crowd went wild. Now they got things saying if he hit the three, he gets free there. It's not. It's not his game, but he needs it. They lost a hell of a – here's the thing with the Sixers is they lost a hell of a shooter with Jimmy Butler. They lost their most clutch shooter and their best three-pointer in Redick. So now you do add Al Horford, so you get bigger and better defensively. But y'all need some shooters, and y'all need your best player, your second best player, to start hitting something outside of anything under 10 feet. because you're not a big, and all you're doing is making the lane more clogged if you have to go to the paint and you have two guys that can go ahead and post up. So we'll see about that. But I'm with you with the Clippers and the Sixers in the finals.
Yeah, I think I'm there, and I've already kind of told you how I feel. I think the Clippers are just the better team because they basically have two starting fives that there is never a letdown. And
true. And
I like
to mention, Paul George ain't played yet.
Right. He isn't even next month maybe is when we'll see Paul George. Right.
Wow.
All righty. Off the NBA, we got that out the way. This week in Houstonville, there's a big trade as the Texans look to fortify their secondary.
I don't know if that was big or not, grabbing Galen Conley. I mean, he was good at Ohio State. He had whatchamacallit issue. The reason why he dropped in the draft is because he actually shouldn't have been picked in the first round, but the Raiders like taking problem children. You know, he had domestic violence charges against him when he was in college, almost got cut from Ohio State. But he's been a model citizen in the NFL since then.
And been a solid corner.
Yeah, but they need one. I mean, they lost. I forgot who they lost, and then Joseph was always Thursday. Okay, so he's out. So that was it. Mm-hmm. So they lost. They lost a veteran, and they needed, like it or not, they need another one. I never did understand why they cut Kevin Johnson. Yeah, he went too high, but I mean,
good.
They need more corners.
I know it was a double negative, but he wasn't no good.
He wasn't, but at this point, they need at least a slot. They have no corners. It's now you.
But Conley's solid. Now I don't say Conley's a number one, but he's solid.
Now here's my issue. I mean, yeah, he's solid, but he also has injury issues too. From when I was reading the scouting report on him, so that's kind of scary if everybody's having injury issues. I want him to succeed. Hopefully that they pan out to be solid. But if he's having injury issues too, that's just not a good sign.
But how about the Raiders' justification for the trade? We want to get our younger guys playing time. This dude is 24. What the hell you mean you want to get your younger guys playing time?
That was an excuse because he's only been in the league. This is his third year.
Yeah,
so it's not like he's not like a 10-year veteran.
Here's what I think. I think the Raiders are so against the Chiefs having any shot at a Super Bowl that they said, hey, we'll give you this guy. I really believe that.
I don't think it's that. I think the fact that the Raiders are stockpiling draft picks because they see their youth movement.
It was a third-round pick. What do you? I don't like. They didn't do very well with the plethora of first-round picks they had this year. Now they're going to do better with a third. Well,
the defensive guy, Farrell, no. Josh Jacobs, different story. That kid is bald.
He's all right.
So as a rookie, considering the fact he's a rookie, he came from Alabama and wasn't even a starter in Alabama. So he's helping. Yep, he's helping out David Carr. And think about it, they are winning despite no AB, despite all the changes they've had in personnel.
I think no AB was a good thing for that team.
Right, but since all the personnel has changed, the Raiders have been balling out. You can't slice them. The only thing you're going to knock them on now,
like your top corner to the Texans in the same division or the same conference. I'm sorry.
Was he really the top corner? Was he would we put him in the same category as Ramsey and Peters?
For them, he was the top corner.
Okay, but obviously something ain't matching. I mean, I have to get up with my man Chris about how the Raiders are playing. If it's a zone thing, he's been more known as a one-on-one guy. The Texans play more, or reverse that. If it's a one-on-one situation, he mainly is a zone type corner. The Texans play more zone than one-on-one coverage, so it may fit. It may just have to be a fit with it. It's the same thing why the Rams got rid of Marcus Peters. They want a one-on-one guy. Marcus is a zone guy. And look what happens when he goes to a zone defense. He shines.
Well, I definitely think the Texans got an upgraded corner. I think he's better at this stage of his career than Jonathan Joseph anyway.
Jonathan Joseph is in his 12th year. He better be better than Jonathan Joseph right now.
I mean,
Jonathan Joseph should not be playing right now. I mean, he should be kind of chilling.
But that's the guy he's replacing, and if that's an upgrade, then they win. I think it makes the Texans a better football team. So we'll see. Now, he will get beat. As Tyreek Hill, he will get beat.
But that's an anomaly because Tyreek Hill beats a lot of people. When you got a guy that has 4.2 speed, it's a little bit different to talk about.
As I'm saying. So but he's still subject to get beat. The Texans did a good job with this trade. They didn't give up too much. They didn't have much left to give since they've given up all their first round picks. So I don't know. I think I saw a highlight this week on Facebook where it says first round pick is the tackle they got. What's his name?
Armstead, and he's hurt. I think he's out for either the season or he won't be back for several weeks.
And then their second round pick is Kenny Stills, and now their third round pick is Gary Conley from the Raiders. So Texans fans aren't happy that they won't be drafting very much next season. Their draft party is going to be lame as hell. But for their team on the field right now, I think Gary Conley is an upgrade, and I look forward to seeing this defense play this week because I'm sure he's going to play a lot. Speaking of which,
also consider they're in win now mode, so they got to do some things now.
O'Brien,
they're not playing for the future.
He better get more than 9 damn wins this year. That's what I'm saying. The AFC South with the big loss to the Colts, who is my dark horse and has been all season because I've been all about Jacoby Brissett since the beginning.
Okay.
Was I not? We can go back on the recordings.
I'm not saying nothing. Continue.
Oh, okay. But is the AFC South up for grabs with the loss to the Colts now?
The AFC South is pretty much is a crapshoot between two teams, the Texans and the Colts.
And now the Colts is the better team, are they not? And that's what they proved last week.
Right. So right now, the Texans are 0-1 against the Colts. They have to come to Houston to play, and then we'll see how that's going to pan out. It's still a crapshoot. All we know is basically the division is those two, because right now Tennessee, who was scheduled to actually
what happened to the stash?
Your guess is as good as mine. I dropped him on fantasy football, bro, so it doesn't really matter.
You're off the stash.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. The stash is struggling because the receivers are not playing. I mean, here's the one thing Jacksonville, I still to this day have never understood. When they had a good quarterback, when Bortles was playing his best ball is when you had Hearns and Robinson. So you had two solid wide receivers. In the same year, you get rid of both of them and never replace them with anybody. I mean, the guy Chark, don't get me wrong, he's playing great. He's won. And, I mean, he's coming out of nowhere and balling. But then who else do you have? You don't have a Mercedes Lewis no more at tight end. And Leonard Fournette, God bless him, the hype of him being the next Adrian Peterson was now so far off.
He's fizzled out.
And he probably won't be there next year because of the fact Tom Coughlin doesn't want another headache.
He's like Frosty the Snowman in a heat wave.
So, again, the stash is on his own. I mean, Nick Foles wouldn't have did any better. I think right now Nick Foles needs to go back to being relief quarterback and let the stash. Nick
Foles is going to lose his job to the stash.
I agree. Sad to say, this looks like this is the end for him. This is like when Kurt Warner came in and Eli took it.
Why is it sad to say? Nick Foles is never. Let's get back to the Texans because I can do a whole show on how Nick Foles is the most overappreciated quarterback in history.
Overappreciated or overrated?
That too. But
I was saying appreciated. Like, okay, all right.
Yeah, this division is up for grabs, and you're right. It is a two horse race, and I emphasize horse because I've been leaning Colts the whole way. Because I didn't think Jacoby Brissett was too far off of what they had in Luck. I mean, Luck's a better passer, but as far as his offense and having an identity and knowing what that identity is, the Colts are a really good football team because they understand who they are and they play to it. The thing I agree with you is the Colts are actually showing that they're more one. With Andrew Luck, they were kind of one-dimensional. It's luck, and then maybe run the ball. With Jacoby, they're running the ball,
with
They
multiple
are a
backs. Now, Marlon Mack
physical
is the
team
story.
on both sides of the ball.
I agree with you, but here's the thing. The Texans are still trying to figure out their identity
Exactly.
as of right now.
That's why I give the Colts the edge.
But if they can get that together, basically, this is where it comes down to. The games where Bill O'Brien is calling the plays for Deshaun is the games where I almost like it's a 50-50 shot. The games where he's giving it to the offensive coordinator or whoever it is calling the calls, or even letting Deshaun do his own thing, because that's what he did really with the Chiefs. He let Deshaun do his own thing for the most part. They have a better chance of winning. So it really comes down to this strategic coaching of Bill O'Brien's is, do my ego feel like playing today, or does my ego feel like going ahead and passing the ball around?
I'm
so
going to
we'll see.
respectfully disagree on that one. And the reason is the offensive coordinator had a couple good weeks, and then he played the Colts. And you know why that is? Because once there's a record out there of how you call a game, people adjust. They caught him off guard in Kansas City. They let the guy call the plays, and the Colts adjusted. So it doesn't. I mean, maybe they need to share play calling responsibility to kind of throw everybody off. But once there's a game plan out there on how you're calling and your rhythm, I mean, the Colts just were a more physical football team.
That's true, but they also did share calling last week, though. That wasn't all on the O coordinator, because even the commentator said there's been times where Bill O'Brien ran back and killed the play, and they went with another play against the Colts. So obviously there's some type of ego or some type of issue going back there, but that wasn't all the O coordinator last week against the Colts. That was a share thing.
Well,
and regardless, what Deshaun needs to do is he needs to take a book out of the great Tom Brady or some of these other guys and kill it.
He's not there.
Not. Listen to me. I'm not saying calling him that, but if he sees the vision and that play does not look right, and it's like, yo, you're calling this, but I'm seeing this, he needs to kill the play
and
just do what he needs to do.
I don't think he's there.
Yes. I mean, it's going to take something hard for him to get that. Look what happened with Russell Wilson. When Russell Wilson did the Super Bowl drive, which everybody hates, or everybody talks about, he's seen it. But he's listening to what's in his headset. If he would have sat there and said, nah, kill this call, give it the beast mode, let's go,
but
they would have been 2-time Super Bowl champions. You got to earn that. But if you're the franchise, who's going to be there longer? The coach or the player?
Or Deshaun Watson.
I'm just saying. For Deshaun Watson, exactly my point. So, Deshaun, you need to do what you need to do to win games, because this guy's hoarding your career back, bro. You need to go in and do what you got to do.
I haven't seen Deshaun with that mentality yet.
You're right. He's being the politically correct person in the thing.
He's just doing what he's told.
That's not going to win you games.
I don't think so either. So now that we narrowed it down to a 2-horse race, which way are you leaning?
I'm still going with the Texans.
Okay.
I'm still riding with the Texans.
I respect that. Even without Will Fuller?
Here's the thing. Can I be honest with y'all? Let's be honest. I've watched Will Fuller for the last 3 seasons. Hell, I picked him up in fantasy football last season. He does that. He gives you that game, and then he disappears.
That's why they went and got Kenny Stills, though.
Kenny Stills been more consistent, because his Miami days, it was him and Landry. They were consistent. This dude, Kenny Stills' issue is he can't stay healthy. Will Fuller's issue is that even when he's healthy, he still drops a lot of balls too. Will Fuller reminds me of that meme where you got the Homer Simpson coming out of the woodwork, and then all of a sudden he disappears again.
Man,
that's what he reminds me of.
Solid season before he got hurt. I don't like the way you're going here.
Okay, so he has a solid season, but he's dropped passes, and y'all giving it because of that one great game he had against ATL.
No, he's played solidly, more consistently this year. That's why everybody's a little more upset that he's hurt. And people here are really ready for him to get cut because they're tired of him getting hurt.
Will Fuller is starting to look more and more like Jacoby Jones, bro. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
I think more like Josh Gordon, except for he's not getting suspended; he's getting hurt.
No, Josh Gordon's thing is mental. Josh Gordon still has a 1,600-yard and 1,100-yard season. You ain't never going to put that in before. Josh Gordon now is this week. He's been suspended so much, and it's been he's just collateral damage. That's the only reason why I'm like, this dude's never going to come back the way he was. The Patriots are banking on that because the Patriots will get the best out of you, and they think they can. But I think at this point now, especially with the Sanu trade, I think it's over with. He'll be cut. He'll get picked up by somebody. I mean, there was rumors with Pittsburgh was going to pick him up for a non-guaranteed contract if he's healthy because James Washington, they said he was hurt, but now he's back to practicing. So that must have sparked the rumors must have sparked something in his ass like, hey, yo, let me get back on the field. But that's collateral damage. So going back to Fuller, if he can give me a solid, let's say more than 60 to 70 yards per game average,
can he just play 10 games in the season? That's what I want.
Great. Yeah,
10.
but if he can do that, but same though, if he does play 8 games in the season, don't give me 150, damn near 200-yard game and then a bunch of 30-yard games. And be targeted a lot. Remember, D-Hop has been less targeted because of the double and triple team, so these other guys have been targeted more. The only one with the Texans right now that's been more consistent has been Fales, the tight end.
Yeah, where the hell did he come from?
Well, he's been around, but he's fucking 6'8". He better be a target.
Yeah. So I have to say Texans in this division because I'm married to a Texan. I've been telling you since the preseason that Jacoby Brissett was no game though. So I think you kind of can read between those lines.
Right, but he's only consistent right now with the Colts.
No, he's not. You still got Marlon Mack. Their defense is
no. I'm talking about if their defense can be consistent.
If their defense can play like they've played the last 3 weeks or last 2 weeks against the Chiefs and the Texans,
then we'll be have a better situation.
Yeah.
Then I would be overall like, yo.
But anyway, like I said, I'm married to a Texan. You can read between those lines. All righty.
All
right. The running back woes in Houston. You are quick to point out how they ran all over the Chiefs, and then they faced the Colts.
35 yards for the Colts. Now, I'm going to say this. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because how adamant you were about talking about how the Colts defense was terrible back when y'all played them. The Colts
defense was terrible. I said they're very physical. We just left a lot of plays out there because our offensive line was worse than they were good.
Go back on the replay. You said this is not they're not consistent. Justin Houston is not that good of a player.
Still bad.
You had more negatives than positives about that Colts defense.
Of course, because Justin Houston's still a bum.
Because he got cut by y'all, and you calling him a bum.
Makes him a bum.
So what do you want him to do? Retire?
Well,
like, hey, the Colts cut me, so I need to retire.
He definitely ain't worth $9 million a year.
Hey, but someone paid the money for it. He didn't ask for that. That's what they offered him.
Yes, he did.
There's no way. No team would have sat there and did a demand on a player that just came off of an injury. That's what the Colts wanted because the Colts were desperate and they were willing to go ahead to have the cap room to pay him that much. And it's only a 1-year deal anyway.
A lot of cap room.
So, and that was it. They had the second most cap room outside, I think, the Raiders, and I forgot who else was the other team, but they were up there with cap room space. So, of course, they were going to spend ridiculous amounts of money on players, and that's what they did. But with that being said, Carlos Hyde ran off y'all against the Colts and had, 118, 115, whatever. Then last week had only 35 yards. Duke Johnson only had, I think he was in the 20s, if not
I've been
less.
a little more impressed with Duke than I thought I would be.
But here's the question. Why can't they be consistent?
Because they don't consistently hand the ball off. It's just like the Chiefs. You got this toy, and you want to play with this toy, instead of doing what you should do to win football games, which is have a balanced offense. They want to throw the ball 50 times.
But look at the NFL right now. For the exception of the Saints over the last several years, every team that's won a Super Bowl had a balance. When you had going to Philly, I'm gonna just use them first.
2009
they had
was
a balance.
decade ago.
They had a balance with a Jay Ajayi, Blunt, who I couldn't stand, and the quarterback, whomever it was then, whether it was Wentz or Foles. Last year with the Patriots, it was Sonny Michel running the ball, James White in the backfield catching the little dink and dive passes, and Tom Brady. The consistent thing about winning games and getting into the playoffs and winning playoff games, you got to have a balance. Even our best years as the Steelers, the way we won wasn't throwing it up 50 million times. It's pass. Actually, it was run, then pass. And then all of a sudden we got into this pass-happy system because of AB. And, I mean, no knock against that, but it didn't do anything for us.
It does matter who your quarterback is.
That's true. I agree. You can't just have Trent Dilfer back there, or you can't just have any type of bum back there. But, again, balance-wise, you got to have that balance. That's the whole thing why the Colts are winning. The Colts have a balance. They have a great balance between Mack and Brissett. They know what their balance is. The Texans have not figured that out yet. If they can figure out their balance, well, let's take it one step back. If they can figure out their
line. The Texans are a team that needs that balance.
Look at their best years.
It's not
their best years.
I think it's just. I think it's a personnel thing. I think as far as their personnel is concerned, they need that balance. And not everyone does, as far as the personnel you have, because there are teams that might need to show you that they have the ability, if they want to run, that they can run and can still beat you by throwing the ball 50 times. I would
totally agree.
That's all I'm saying.
But look at their balance. Look at the Texans' best years.
Well,
Arian Foster,
you don't even
Matt
have to
Schaub.
go best years. You can go best games this season. When they've played their best this season, they've had a balance.
So why can't they consistently run the ball? Why can't they consistently have this balance? That's the issue.
Because they're
overrating.
They're overrating what they have offensively instead of accepting what they are.
That and the fact of the matter is, I think, to be honest with you, as much as Bill O'Brien, and I'm going to say this, and people still get mad at me. The reason why Rick Smith lost his job was partly because of Deshaun Watson. Because you traded up and you got a mobile quarterback and a guy that's a winner to say, hey, whatever Bill O'Brien's doing, you got Keenum and Fitzpatrick and all that ain't working. So we need a guy that can move and shuffle and this, that, and the third. And I don't think Bill O'Brien liked that.
Inherited Keenum, and he wanted nothing to do with Case Keenum from day one.
But then all of a sudden you go ahead and try to put your magic in Fitzmagic, and, well, he didn't even have the Fitzmagic start.
Every team that's done that is dumb, okay?
And I was the first one to tell people, when the Texans drafted Tom Savage from out of Pitt, my alma mater, I sat there and said, this is not a good move. He's a great game manager because the kid went to 3 different schools before he got
that's what the Texans thought they needed, too, because, they thought they had the defense of all defenses.
But the problem is you had a great game manager, but at that point, y'all done ran Arian Foster to death, and then y'all cut him thinking this guy was going to do anything. The Texans need a strong balance, and the problem is they can't be a strong balance with the line they have right now. Laramie Tunsil is inconsistent. Armstead was drafted too high. The other guys, cool. You still, to this day, was the dumbest move y'all have done in probably the last 5 years in trading Dwayne Brown, because he's right now eating over there in Seattle, and he's old. But old Dwayne Brown at 35 is playing way better than half the Texans roster that are in their 20s, including Tunsil.
I think
but
the biggest
as long
mistake.
As you're gonna be consistent.
I think the biggest mistake they make is they refuse to get an elite running back because of what they believe they have in Deshaun Watson.
I agree. Because look at last year. Adrian Peterson stayed in Houston practically
he's still
the
not
whole.
elite. No, I said elite. They could have went and got Kareem Hunt.
They're not trading to get anybody, and they're not going to pay anybody. Let's be realistic.
But that's what I'm saying. Because of what they believe
Jason.
they have in Deshaun Watson, they refuse to pay a running back.
So that's your issue. Because even though Adrian Peterson was not elite, he still had over 1,000 yards last season. Keep that in mind. With the Redskins, a woeful Redskins team, he still cracked about like 1050.
Bro, I'm just saying that no one was going to game plan around Adrian Peterson.
No, but that's the point. You're not going to game plan around Adrian Peterson, but he's going to ball out. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You got to take what you can get and run with it.
Yeah, 4 yards a carry.
Again, yeah, well, shit. It's a lot more than what the Texans are currently getting now.
If you do it 3 times, right?
Bullet. Exactly my point. Compared to with the guys they got now who are not getting over, I think, 3.5. So, I'm just saying.
I'm with you. I got you. So the Texans and this running back, you're definitely off of Carlos Hyde, is what I'm hearing.
It can't be consistent. Like, I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna say I'm off of him.
Is it because he's not getting the opportunity? Because, like I said, a lot of it comes down to we think we have an elite quarterback in Deshaun Watson, so we're going to go ahead and throw the ball 50 times a game instead of running it the 25, 30 times we need.
Yeah, well, here's the problem with that.
Vikings can go to anything they want.
So the Texans, the Texans got the Raiders this week in their Week 8 matchup. The Raiders have traded their top quarterback to the Texans. You think he's going to give them some tips and the Texans should win this game?
The Texans should win this game regardless, just because the fact of the matter is the Raiders are still on a rebuilding type stage. They're playing great ball, but the Texans are at home. They should win a home game. They need it. They need this game. They should play with a sense of urgency because this is for basically they need to keep their head afoot with that loss last week in the division.
But don't you think the Raiders are going to be motivated because Patrick Mahomes is hurt?
As long as Patrick Mahomes is hurt, then it's irrelevant. Raiders just got to win games, period. The Raiders got something to prove, not just because of KC, but for the whole entire league.
I mean, they're in second place in the division, so they really got to be thinking that Patrick Mahomes hurt, I have a legitimate shot.
Bro, it ain't all about Patrick. This is a whole about I'm trying to win games, period, because I'm trying to prove a point. Let's take the KC factor out there for a second and let's put it in reality. We came in with the AB shit, and Gruden's ego, and basically saying the NFL sat there and said, even now with AB gone and a Derek Carr situation, y'all not going to win more than 2 games. They've already eclipsed that. Now it's time to prove a point. We're going to win as many games as possible, especially while a lot of the top tier teams, your Steelers, your Chargers, and a bunch of other teams, they're not in winning positions. So let's take advantage of us. So we need to knock out games now. We got a point to prove. Derek Carr should be motivated from the simple fact is this is the team that shitted on my brother. So every time Derek Carr even sees the word Houston Texans, he should be ready to go ahead and try to have a 304-touchdown game. Just because the fact of the matter, this is a team shitting on my brother. And this is a team that did not draft me. You drafted an offensive lineman before me, and that offensive lineman is now on his 3rd team.
I just can't understand how you can throw out the fact that they got a legitimate shot at the AFC West right now because of the injury to Patrick Mahomes.
But you're pinpointing off of one player.
But that one player is going to cost the Chiefs this game.
Okay, that's to say. If your coach, and we can get to that when we get to the Chiefs, if your coach balances the game out, y'all could win. Y'all have a good game manager. He's not a game winner. He's a game manager. And if y'all start running the ball effectively, y'all could actually win games to hold it down basically until Mahomes gets back. I.e., the same situation, although he's not as athletic as what the Saints are doing down there in New Orleans. All Teddy B is doing, he's managing the game. He managed the game without Kamara last week. And balancing the games. It's not to say like, ooh, like the NFC South, they're not sitting there saying, ooh, because Breeze is out, we should just concentrate. No,
well, they should have.
Okay, Breeze is out. Advantage is we can win games, but in the same note,
But
who's more motivated?
The team that was supposed to have been the top threat to them was the Atlanta Falcons. But
I thought it was Carolina.
On the Texans side of this thing, and well, Carolina is still a threat. They've got 4 wins. But on the Texans side of this thing, they're at home. They got a team that they should feel superior to. Like, let's be honest. They should definitely feel like they should walk over the Raiders. But Derek Carr is quietly having a career year. He's like number 1 in the league in completion percentage, by the way.
It's a check year. That's all I got to say.
I understand that. I think the Texans have to win this game because they lost last week, and they better keep pace with the Colts because the Colts, from what I've seen so far, they're real.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
I don't think this game should be as competitive as it's gonna be, but I have the Texans by 3. We can call that 30-27.
I like the score, but I'm going for an upset special. This is my upset special of the week.
You're going Raiders?
I am going Raiders.
Oh, my.
The motivation.
And
Shout out to my man.
Growls at me as he hears me say that you're going Raiders.
I'm going Raiders, and this is right. My homeboy is a diehard Raiders fan, and me and him was talking about this. I'm going to go with the Raiders on the upset special. I am. And I'm going to go with this score because the Texans are not playing consistent. I'm going to go 24-17 Raiders.
But you liked my score. Just go with my score.
Just reverse it. We not the same. We not the same person. You shorter than me. I got to go ahead and be my own person sometimes.
You know, it surprises me how tall you are every time I see you. It really does. And we were just talking about that in the office the other day. I don't think the Raiders are as good as you're hoping they are. I still like the Texans front 7. Whitney Merciless is having a year. J.J. Watt seems to be off of his walker, and he's seeming like he's ready to play. He feels like he's got a championship opportunity. So I still like the Texans defense. So I'm going 30-27 Texans.
And real quick, can I say this real quick? Have the Texans actually, can Romeo Crennel actually now figure out that the more and more you put Whitney's hand in the ground and let him be a rusher versus him being a coverage linebacker, they win games? I'm just saying.
Well, Romeo's 112 years old. That's all.
Yeah, you don't like him either.
It's not that I don't like him. I respected him, but, you know, enough is enough at a certain point.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, moving to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, my Kansas City Chiefs will play their first game in a year and a half without Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes was hurt last week in the game on a quarterback sneak, so he will not play. He was officially ruled out yesterday, which I thought it was nonsensical that anyone thought he would ever play in this game. So the Chiefs will play the Packers on Sunday Night Football. I wish they would have been flexed out of this game since Patrick is not playing, but it is what it is.
No, you got to play that game.
Huh?
No, you got to play that game now.
I didn't say you got to play it. I'm just saying you don't need to play it on Sunday Night Football. I don't know.
We the Monday night game and we got the Dolphins.
The only reason it was on Sunday Night Football in the first place is because
the battle of the quarterback.
Yeah, it was Mahomes against the one that everyone compares him to. But anyway, in this game, last week I and a lot of American media outlets were calling the Kansas City Chiefs defense and team soft. The defense responded with a dominant game against the Denver Broncos last week. I mean, completely dominant game. Was it just that the Broncos and Joe Flacco are inept, or did the Chiefs have an attitude change from hearing the fact that they're soft?
Both.
So it can be two things at once?
Yep, it's both.
I'll believe it when I see it Sunday. I think they played
I agree with you there. Thank you. Because right now, you're using the Denver Broncos, who are basically on a fire sale now. Obviously, you've seen they trade Emmanuel Sanders. They keep talking about both Chris Harris and Von Miller on the trading block. pretty much.
What
this
I
team
don't
is waiting
understand
to go
about
there.
that team is they're saying their quarterback is not ready, as if Joe Flacco is.
Look, I'll be honest with you. If I was a Denver Broncos fan, and we have one, and I wish you and Tony can talk because he's the biggest Denver Broncos idiot in the world.
No, you don't want
No
that.
disrespect.
That's like Chiefs Raiders. You don't want to put us in the same room or in the same conversation because none of it will be logical. Because they're going to believe what they believe, and I believe what I know.
So the thing about it is, John Elway is a horrible,
awful quarterback evaluator.
Yeah, and he lucked up on Von Miller, and he was just good enough to go ahead and get Peyton Manning for. And I'll be honest with you, to this day, no one can argue with me with this one. Peyton Manning just didn't want to go to Arizona, who had a better team at the time, because he didn't want to play his brother in the NFC Championship
Well,
game.
can I be honest with you for a second? Peyton Manning is the only reason John Elway still has a job.
Yeah, that's true, too. That's very true. But at this point now, career-wise, yeah, we can just go ahead and let Denver be Denver. It's pretty much a done deal. You guys played with passion last week, and I like that. Y'all played with passion.
That's the word
y'all played with emotion.
I went with. It's passion.
Y'all played with that. I think y'all got tired of two factors. One, y'all got tired of the second half. I'm going to use the second half, for example, because y'all did something that I didn't see KC do for a while now, is y'all stepped on them and y'all kept y'all foot on their neck. Because I've watched some KC games when they're usually the bigger televised games. Sometimes y'all don't put the foot on the throttle. The last game I actually seen y'all kept it was against us last year.
When that was the
coming out party for Mahomes.
And I've always said that's an Andy Reid problem because he's always on that line. He's always on that line where I don't want to disrespect the other team. Here's how I feel about that. Screw the other team. They get paid just like you get paid. You go out there and you score as many points as humanly capably possible. And Andy Reid does not do that.
So that's the big factor. If y'all did that consistently,
we'd score about 45 points a game.
Yeah. That's the only real difference why I said about some of against y'all. When I get comparison now, they keep comparing y'all to the Patriots of several years back where y'all had, minor running game, but mainly it was the star quarterback.
The difference is the coaches, because Bill Belichick will absolutely pound you into the ground if he gets the opportunity. He doesn't care.
Too, but that's Bill.
He has no compassion about the other team. He feels exactly how I feel here. If you get paid like I get paid, you better go out there and do your best to keep me from scoring 50 points. Otherwise, I'm going to score 50 points if I can.
So, with that being said, if y'all can consistently do that on defense, now, mind you got Denver, but I'm not going to knock the Packers, but the Packers, they've been inconsistent too. Because, yes, Aaron Rodgers is there.
They're 6-1.
But the thing is they have holes, and they're on a down division as well. They have holes. I'm not knocking them either, but if you watch game one, like we both did and talked about, you can see their holes. If y'all can if they right now don't have a star receiver. So if y'all cornerbacks step up to play and play man on man against undrafted rookie free agent, a undrafted third-year player, and a converted scat back to now receiver, and then you have the tight end, which the tight ends is always good for Green Bay. I mean, Jimmy Graham is not Jimmy Graham of what he was in whatchamacallit in Saints land.
Andy Reid called him a Hall of Famer this week.
He can become a Hall of Famer if he stops Aaron Rodgers?
No, I'm saying Jimmy Graham. Andy Reid called Jimmy Graham a Hall of Famer this week.
Ooh.
That's why I brought it up, because Andy Reid said it.
Ooh.
And I mean, Coach
Jimmy
knows
Graham
more.
would be a Hall of Famer if this was maybe 5 years ago.
If he were producing at that level still,
I would give it to him then. Now, no, I don't.
But that's what Coach Reid said. He knows a lot more about football than me. I'm with
Because
you.
you have one of the best quarterbacks in the league who throws to a tight end, and you're not getting open. I'm sorry, I can't give
He
Andy
hasn't
Reid
been.
giving Jimmy Graham that.
Yeah, he hasn't been that since New Orleans the first time.
Right.
That's how I feel. So you're off the Chiefs. You're saying the Chiefs defense played a little more passionately, and they heard the calls of them being soft, and it's the Denver Broncos. Well, they have the Packers this week. I don't know what to expect. Sorry, I'm getting feedback. I don't really know what to expect on this game, but I think the fact that they play Reggie Ragland more is a plus.
Yeah, I don't use him a lot, man.
We
he's a
haven't
stud.
been.
Remember, it's
They have
Alabama
no
days.
choice now.
Don't have a choice. Y'all need to put him in and let him shine.
Because he played very, very well last week.
So, y'all use him to the best of your ability, y'all will win this game. Because
I think Reggie Ragland is the difference in this defense. They've been trying to play Darren Lee because Darren Lee can cover a lot better than Ragland, let's be honest. But Reggie Ragland played a great game last week, and he was the difference in this team's defense.
with that being said, I still think y'all have a great chance of winning this game if Matt Moore doesn't cough the ball. If Matt Moore doesn't try to become game winner and just stays as game manager, y'all can win the game.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs have a shot. I don't know that it's going to be a great shot, but I think they have a shot. And I'm with you. It does depend on Matt Moore. The good thing is he's getting Sammy Watkins back this week. So the Chiefs' offense minus the line, as far as their skill players, they're all going to be available to him. That means Damian Williams. That means Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, LaShawn McCoy. All those guys will be available. And Patrick Mahomes hadn't had that since like the first half of the first game.
But I will say this also. Y'all, the biggest factor, you've named all your wide receiving weapons.
And
the point
tight
is
end.
y'all need and the tight end.
And running backs. I said skill players.
No. What I'm saying is y'all need to run the ball to keep Aaron off the field.
Oh, yeah.
So
we have no choice this
y'all
week.
need to work the hell out of Williams, McCoy, and whoever the hell else y'all got in that backfield to keep him off the field, because if y'all can't win a shootout without Mahomes.
No.
And that's what the NBC wanted. They want a shootout. They wanted y'all and the Packers to be last year's Chiefs-Rams game. Y'all not going to win a shootout with Matt Moore. So y'all need to keep running the ball. Your line needs to block like hell and keep Aaron Rodgers' ass off the field. Because if y'all go into a shootout, this game will be a blowout, and y'all will lose this badly.
Very badly, because Matt Moore is not that guy. I hope Andy Reid knows that. I think he's smarter than me. So I think he does know that. But we will see Sunday night. I can't. If I'm being honest with myself, this is an easy game to pick. But we'll get there in a moment. Now that we're off the soft defense, Matt Moore filling in for Patrick Mahomes this week. He's a 500 quarterback. Lifetime.
Yeah, it was always Chase Daniel. That doesn't say much.
Well, Chase Daniel's not a bad. Hold on. Why do you have? What's your problem with Chase?
He's made over $50 million being a backup quarterback.
So
anyway,
you mad at him for that? That means he's good at his
I'm
backup
not mad
job.
at him. He's not good at his backup job. He's just he kiss ass. Anyway,
No, he's not. He's a good backup quarterback.
Moving on. With that being said, Matt Moore, yeah, he may have a winning record or what have you, but he needs to just make sure. I mean, he's probably looking at it as a kid in a candy store. You have weapons. Ooh, I can throw to this, and this. But his vision versus and manage the ball. Andy, this is the coaching thing. Andy needs to really coach him versus Mahomes. Mahomes can go ahead and do shit on the slide.
Because
and it
he's
works.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, because he's Patrick Mahomes. Everyone calls it. But, again, with the Moore situation is, Andy needs to sit there, coach this kid and say, well, not kid, he's a grown man, he's our age, and just say, hey, look, hand the ball off, do short pass plays, let's put what y'all need to play is old school New England offense. Short pass plays, precise right run, and Travis Kelce should be able to go off. He should be able to get a lot of yards because of the tight end situation. Because if you throw it to the tight end who's an accelerated athlete, you can win the game. Because they don't have anybody on Green Bay's offense that's going to – they probably will try to put they got to replace them. Darnell Savage, the kid from Maryland. They'll probably try to put him on Kelce, which won't work because Kelce's too big for him. So if y'all manage, y'all can win.
Well, we can win the game.
That thing, that's what happened.
We can win the game. Matt Moore is a capable guy. He's practiced all week. He's practiced with a borderline elite receiving core. So I like his chances with the weapons, but it does depend on if Andy Reid decides to run the ball. Because you can't play Patrick Mahomes football with Matt Moore as the quarterback. And even Matt Moore said that in his press conference this week. He's not Patrick Mahomes. There's things he's just not able to do. So it's about balance. I think Matt Moore can sustain this team until Patrick Mahomes is back, and I strongly go with the word sustain. He can sustain, and he can win a couple of games. That's really all we need him to win. We need to keep him from this team from 5 losses. But I also understand this team's urgency in not losing any more because the Patriots haven't lost at all. So it looks like home field is going through New England, and that's not a good thing for anybody.
No.
Now that we talked about Matt Moore and his pretty good record as a backup quarterback, I did want to talk about one little subject with Patrick Mahomes. Even though he's hurt, who cares? I'm still going to talk about Patrick Mahomes because he's like the superstar. Yeah.
I guess.
At home,
he is a superstar.
At home and then on the road, I'm sorry, Chiefs fans. I'm the biggest one of them all. But I really think Patrick Mahomes is a better road quarterback than he is at home.
Okay. I do think that, well, I don't know the statistics about home versus away, but I will say this. Most home quarterbacks, when they're playing at home, they get more comfortable. When you are away,
he gets too hype.
That's the same thing, but basically in the same note. I think most of the times when we try risky shit, it's been at home.
Yeah.
So him trying to no-look passes or, the downfield bombs and triple coverage, and they just happen to work because, y'all have elite. I'll give y'all that elite situation with Hill and Kelce and then Watkins when he's healthy.
When healthy.
So when he does that, yeah, you can get away with it at home because no one's gunning for you. Plus the fact you get calls at home for the most part.
1-2 at home. Our losses have come at Arrowhead Stadium.
Because y'all took risk. I mean, you even said yourself, the one interception that Mahomes has, he just threw it because it was a blown call. I mean, he could have just hit the ball and just threw it out. So it really comes down to the point of, well, what do you see and what are you willing to go ahead and take a risk on? When you're away, you don't take that many risks. That's just being facts. I mean, you take it in real life. If you go to another location from where you're comfortable with, you don't go ahead and do the same shit you always do when you're at your home office or your home branch or what have you. Because the fact of the matter is like, I may not be wanting to do this just because the fact of the matter is I can get away with it at home. I can't maybe not be able to get away with it when I'm away. It's the same thing.
But if you lose at home and you win on the road, doesn't that make you better on the road?
No, it just makes you think you need to reevaluate what you do at home. Somehow, some way, he's taking more risk at home. The team takes more risk at home than away.
Because he's more hype.
So,
I think they need to give him let him smoke a blunt or something before the games. I don't know. But
you want him to be suspended.
What?
That's great.
You
want him to be suspended. That's smart.
I don't want him to be suspended, but I don't want him to do stupid stuff at home. I don't want him to overthrow. I don't want him to overthrow wide receivers at home because he's pumped and he wants to get the Arrowhead crowd pumped. When he's on the road, he focuses and he's a better quarterback, and this team wins. they win more on the road than at Arrowhead Stadium, which used to be the ultimate home field advantage.
I could literally see it right now of Patrick Holmes smoking a blunt and Stephen A. Smith saying he can't stay off the weed. I could literally watch that and be like, see,
I just don't know what to say. At home,
at
home, this team struggles. And I've said it for a couple years now.
Y'all need to just go ahead and talk to the coach. The coaches need to talk to their players and try to reevaluate what they need to do while they're at home. Right now, it's like y'all have a college atmosphere when it comes to the Chiefs. And the reason I'm saying that is it's like y'all go and y'all get those guys pumped up to the 20th million power, get the crowd pumped up. Y'all know y'all have a hell of a record at home. They're going back to even the years with going back to as far as the Derek Thomas years. Y'all are almost unstoppable at home. But again, just like in college, like I said, listening to people in college, watching college ball, playing college ball, the coaches go ahead, yeah, y'all going to do this, this, and this, and we're going to whoop their ass. Yeah, okay. But that's when you start doing stupid stuff. When you're away and everybody is against you, and you know possibly you're not going to get the calls, you're not going to get the same volume of noise in your favor because everybody's going to be quiet when y'all on offense. They get loud against the opposing team. Y'all have the tendency, y'all going to go ahead and not do as much. Y'all just trying to win the game and get the hell out of Dodge.
Focus more.
So y'all need to, if y'all can figure that out, y'all should be good. But to that point, well.
Chiefs-Packers, Arrowhead Stadium, Sunday night, 7:20 p.m. Aaron Rodgers against Patrick Mahomes is how it was supposed to go down, but unfortunate quarterback sneak ended that. Now we got Matt Moore and Aaron Rodgers and a 6-1 Packers team and a 4-2 Chiefs team. Who you got?
Oh, you gonna put it on me first? Okay, This is not gonna be that hard. I love y'all, but I'm going with the Packers 31-21.
Yeah. The loss of Patrick Mahomes is really devastating to the Chiefs. So devastating that we're going to run the ball 30 freaking times. And the Chiefs are going to win this game 24-21. I'm back on the wagon. That's right.
Good.
And I went low scoring. Moving on to Pittsburgh. Go ahead.
I'm glad y'all. I was hoping. I was like, if this dude sits there and says y'all gonna score 40 points, we're gonna have a whole new rank.
No. I'm not crazy. Moving on to Pittsburgh's favorite son and a quarterback controversy brewing out of Pittsburgh. Is it Mason Rudolph as he has cleared the concussion protocol, or the 6th-round draft pick? Who you got?
6th-round draft pick. You mean the guy that wasn't drafted?
Oh,
he was a free agent.
You're right. The undrafted rookie.
That one wasn't drafted. Here's the question. I don't know because Tomlin still is. This is probably one of Tomlin's strongest points. He doesn't mention who he's going to play until literally before game day. Tomlin is also a fantasy football killer because you don't never know what the hell to do. As of right now, they are still, since we have the Monday night game against the Dolphins, they are still up for grabs.
That's going to be an awful football game.
Yes, I agree. And it's in Pittsburgh, so hopefully that will be a blowout. The one thing I'm going to say with this is I personally would sit Mason another game. Let Devlin do his thing. We're home. It's Monday Night Football.
Why? Because you're playing the Dolphins?
We're playing the Miami Dolphins.
So what if you're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars?
The Jacksonville Jaguars are actually trying to still be competitive. Miami's not. Miami is definitely not even thinking about being competitive. They want to tank this whole season. If they go 0-16, they'll be happy.
So you're saying because of who you're playing, sit your quarterback another week.
Because of who we playing, sit a quarterback another week and let him realize that concussion protocol, although we had the bye week, that's also 2 weeks we lost with him actually practicing full-fledged number ones, because basically they've been going back and forth with the number ones. So why not just let Devlin start? Let's go ahead and test the running situation a lot more. Let's go ahead, because it worked against I can't even think of it. It worked against the Chargers. So let's go ahead and let's give Benny Snell some more reps. Let's go ahead and play game management. Obviously, unless because let's be realistic, Miami wants to lose this game to be number one, but they may be a little bit competitive because they want us to lose because that pick goes up higher and higher the more and more we lose. But I think Miami at this point is just like, we win games, that means we can't tank for Tua. This is all it is hashtag tank for Tua, Alabama's current quarterback right now. I just say, why not just go ahead and let Devlin have the week, let him see what he can do with it. If he starts to struggle, then we put in Mason. I mean, don't put him on inactive and, Lord, have Paxton
So
Lynch
if he
be our
can dress, shouldn't he play?
No. Again, I'm stressing to you, why go ahead and rush him? Again, another thing is if you know football, if it's a bottom-tier team, that means everybody becomes rogue. And when I mean rogue, if your team sucks, that means everybody's just trying to go ahead and get stats. That means all of a sudden you'll have a guy that's going to try to nail the quarterback or nail the wide or do a blatant hit play, i.e. Vontaze Burfict type. Why even put him in that situation? I'd rather lose Devlin Hodges versus losing Mason again. So why not? It's again, if we're playing against someone competitive that I know, hey, this would be a good chance for him to get his reps in because pretty much he is the quarterback of the future, go for it. If not, because of the concussion protocol, and I'm being very sensitive to this kid because he is our future, sit him.
All right, so you're sitting Mason Rudolph again. So there's no quarterback controversy is what I'm hearing? Mason Rudolph is clearly the number one?
Mason Rudolph is clearly the number one. No one's ever said he wasn't.
Okay.
Old boy, Wickham had a good game, but we ran the ball.
Yeah,
it wasn't
like he was dominant. He had like 125 yards passing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't call it a quarterback controversy.
I don't. But, your fans did because you won, right?
Yeah, but fans are fans. They're emotional. For example, if Matt Moore goes ahead and scores 50 points, yes.
No.
But there's someone back there saying, sit Mahomes until bye week and let Matt Moore win games. That's my whole point.
Well, I'm saying sitting him until the bye week anyway.
Okay.
I believe that regardless of what they do. I think that
somebody's going to go out there and say that. Trust me.
I'm saying it now.
And this is social media.
Well, I'm telling you now. He needs to sit until the bye week. He needs to be Patrick Mahomes when he comes back.
And again, it's like I was talking to my homeboy yesterday, and he's a New Orleans Saints fan, diehard. He even said himself, there's been controversy now that they saying sit Breeze for the rest of the season and keep Teddy Bridgewater.
That's
and
insane.
It's like, no.
That's insane.
You don't do that.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. That's not the same team with Teddy as the quarterback. When you put Drew Brees in there, that's an elite offense.
Exactly.
Juju stepping up or not so much?
He needs to. The reason why I'm saying it's time for Juju to step up is because he's been pretty much a lame duck for the last. I mean, Juju's been the ultimate team player. I mean, last game he had 2 catches for I think like 12 yards, but we won, and he was cool with that. Any other wide receiver in starting their prime or getting not even in their prime yet, because Juju's only 22, 23, 22. Would probably have a fifth and feed him the ball, but Juju's not that type of guy. He to me is the old school Hines Ward, where it's just like, I just want to win the game. I don't need to have, a 150-yard game or what have you. As long as we win, I'm good. Juju does need to step up now because we're going to need him through this next stretch of games going into it, because we're not out of the picture yet. Sad to say, America. I know everybody wants the Steelers to go ahead and tank and suck, so y'all get rid of Tomlin.
I'd rather see y'all than the Ravens.
I didn't say right. Well, yeah, I totally agree. But again, we're still in this picture for whatever reason that people like it. We're still in this picture right now at 2-4, and can possibly. I'm not going to say we're going to go ahead and win the next. We're going to go run the table and become 12-4. No, I'm not crazy. But we're going to be competitive. Somebody's going to get upset. We already did it against the Chargers because we were 15-point underdogs against the Chargers, and we blew their asses out. So
Chargers.
But again, no one expected us to even. They expected Phillip Rivers to have a career game, and they didn't. With that being said, we need to stay competitive. We need to make sure now, like I said, in the back of everybody's mind in Pittsburgh land is, look, the more and more we stay competitive, the more justifiable that first-round trade is. Because if Minka is balling his ass off, but if we go in the top 5, and that's the top 5 pick, there's no one in the draft this year that the Steelers need, because this is going to be a quarterback-heavy draft.
Wait,
we don't
you
need
say just a couple weeks ago or a few, what was it? Before the season, outside of Tua, there was nothing?
Now everybody, this is why you don't watch college football. Now there's a bunch of prospects that are coming over the last couple of weeks that are shining. I said that 2 weeks ago. You got to watch college games. Before, the prospects, there was only the kid from Oregon.
These prospects are so good or the defense is so bad?
No, the prospects are so good. Yeah, watch the SEC football. Look at Joe Burrow. Look at Ohio State's Justin Fields. Look at Jalen Hurts, the local kid that won the championship with Alabama that transferred to Oklahoma. All these kids went from, I ain't never heard of them, 2 of them were transfers, to these kids are all potential first-round picks the way they're playing. And it's not the defenses. It's not. These kids are balling, and they're doing it against hard competition, your UTs and all the other ones.
But who's drafting the quarterback first round next year?
Well, we obviously know that's Miami.
I mean, outside of them.
We'll see.
Maybe Tennessee.
Yeah, definitely Tennessee. Because Mariota's not going to be there. I'll be honest with you. I don't see Jameis Winston in Tampa.
Yeah, we're about to say Tampa.
Unless
something changes, turns around immediately.
The only one I say where they were talking about drafting a quarterback that's not going to happen now is the Colts. That's it.
Well, Jacoby, I don't know why they were talking about it. They got Jacoby on a deal. He's got $15 million this year, $15 million next year. Kids.
But a lot of people were doubting Jacoby, and they wanted to go ahead and
they were crazy.
Talking about drafting a quarterback.
That's because they were crazy. Yeah. They weren't paying attention. They took too much stock in the 1 year.
With the stash too. So, but going back with the Steelers, and we may not go first round, but we probably will draft a quarterback probably anywhere between 3rd and down. We won't draft a first-round quarterback. Just because the fact of the matter is we are thin at quarterback now, regardless of what Ben's situation is. And Ben is getting Tommy John. I don't give a damn what nobody says. When I seen that cast, and then I seen the cast on they were interviewing Ben last week during the bye week. That's Tommy John surgery. That's not a sprain or a tear. I've had that. That's Tommy John.
I told you,
dude. He's done at 37.
I told you
this ain't a Steven Strasburg situation.
I said that when he got hurt.
He's done. So with that being said, we are banking on a quarterback for the future. I would like to see like a Jalen Hurts or something if we can get him in the 3rd or 4th round, not 1st or 2nd. We got some other holes we need to fill.
But more importantly, you're saying I was right.
About what? We both said that about the quarterback.
Him and the TJ.
Say it again?
Him and Tommy John.
Yeah, no. I agree with you with that.
Yeah.
I didn't take that away from you. I said that. I said the way he flexed out, he was already hurt during the preseason.
Yeah, he looked like he was 100 years old. I told you that.
We talked about it. The reason, and I kept saying, the reason they're not putting Ben in any of these preseason games or they putting him in for literally one series is because he is hurt. But yet, the management is so hard, and I know Tomlin's probably the same. He's probably cause of it. They're so hell-bent on making Ben prove, after all this shit with him and AB and Le'Veon, that he's still the dark horse for the MVP. When Skip Bayless said Ben is the dark horse for the MVP, I said, we're fucked. That's the Madden curse and the Sports Illustrated curse are wrapped up in one. The last time Skip said someone was going to be a dark horse MVP last year was Cam Newton, and Cam couldn't stay up. I'm like, Skip don't never need to mention my team. No, don't say. If you're a Steelers fan, don't mention us, because that all of a sudden we get hurt. So if Skip Bayless says Patrick Mahomes, luckily you got Shannon that loves him. But if Skip says Patrick Mahomes, I'm calling you like, y'all fuck. It's over. Have a nice day.
So the Steelers had somebody get arrested this week?
Yeah, so basically we got Anthony Chickillo, he's not our starting defensive end / outside linebacker. He's more of a tweener, comes in on special plays and stuff like that, or sometimes he relieves TJ. But the guy's a baller, came from the U, but he got arrested for domestic violence. The Steelers pretty much told him the other day, don't come to work. If your team says don't come to work, pretty much you in trouble. And they then, literally the next day, they put him on the exemption list. So he's pretty much done. What domestic violence stuff, whatever he did, the Steelers aren't mentioning it as of yet. Hopefully it'll come out soon to see what's really going on. But, yeah, he screwed up. So now we need to have one of our regulars step up again. So now it's another loss on defense. So now it's the second week in a row that we've lost somebody on defense. Of course, step into it was lost after the Chargers game, and now this kid with the domestic violence situation, which pretty much he's done for the season. You're on the exemption list, that's it. You don't come back that season. I haven't yet to see anybody on the exemption list come back that same year. Even your former guy, Hunt, he's not even on the exemption list. And so he's eligible to come back actually next week.
There's a clamor in Kansas City to trade for Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I would, because now that Nick Chubb is balling the way he's doing, they already said in Cleveland that they're going to use Kareem Hunt more as like your Darren. Sort of, I think what your old GM is trying to do is have the Chargers type offense from the Drew Brees days. LT is the main back, which would be Chubb, and Hunt be the Sproles back, which won't make sense to me because he's better than Sproles. Kind of yeah. So, okay. If y'all want to play that way, that's perfectly fine.
I don't understand. To give up a second-round pick to bring Kareem back.
Yeah, but then that means they got to eat crow for that one. That's why I don't see that happening.
It ain't crow. It's the truth. He's your guy. Anyway.
No, I'm saying they'd have to eat crow saying they made a mistake by cutting him.
Well, they did make a mistake by cutting him.
They did. But they got to go ahead and admit that most teams won't do that. They're not going to go ahead and admit that they made a mistake. It's just the way the NFL is.
A talented guy, and in this team, we'd be the favorites for a Super Bowl for the years to come if we went and got Kareem back. So the Steelers got a bye, so that gives you some time to get over Chickalo, give you some practice in.
Well, the bye is over. We got Monday Night Football against the lowly Dolphins, which I'm not going to call this. I'm not going to give this a bye. I'm not giving this away. Again, like I said, the parameters of this one's a little bit different than before, just because the simple fact of the matter is the Dolphins want to tank the game, but in the same note, if they beat us, one, they get their first win of the season. Lord, no one wants to be that first team to give a lowly team like that their first win. And two, that pick we got with Minkah Fitzpatrick, that number one for next year, we trying to win games to make that pick lower and lower. Lord knows we don't want to have Miami have a first and a fourth or a first and a fifth or first or worse, first and a second. That would be crazy. We don't want that to happen. I can't stand the Dolphins just because the fact is I can't stand the fact that the name is the Dolphins. The worst team name.
You don't stop.
The worst team name in sports history. There's not another name me another team. There's nothing threatening about a Dolphin.
Come on.
Here come the Flippers. The Flippers.
Come on.
That's
so
keeping
again,
it real, bro.
The Steelers on the bye with the Dolphins. The Steelers will win 31-16.
I'm gonna say 27-10. I don't see the Dolphins scoring that many points.
The Astros and the Nationals World Series is 2-1. Nationals are winning. The Astros win their first game last night. I've been telling my colleagues to relax. It's a 7-game series, and their team will come alive. They were just saying how they were going to get swept. I love to listen to baseball fans that really aren't baseball fans because they give up so quick. It's so hilarious.
I'm going to say this. I was surprised that the Astros lost. Here's the thing. I didn't expect Cole to lose.
Because he's not human, right?
No, it's just because he's been on a hot streak. He's been killing. And I just thought that momentum of him would have been doing it. I did say I knew Verlander was going to lose. Verlander is horrible. He's 0-5 right now in World Series play. And I was like, nah, y'all going to lose. And I was the first one, and people were mad at me. I was the first one to say, and I'm not a huge baseball watcher like my colleague, but I'm just going off the stats. When you sit there and say he's owing something in this type of play, I'm like, well, I think that momentum continues just like Garrett Cole was.
And my guy, Zach Greinke, showed up.
Correct. And that's after he had a bad game in New York.
Well, he never pitches well against New York.
But the thing is with Verlander, with Cole, I think with Cole is the fact that he hasn't got a lot of rest because of the situations dealing with Verlander not playing as well as he's been playing in this postseason.
I don't think it's that. Here's the thing. Garrett Cole was a Pittsburgh Pirate. They're now playing a National League team. Zach Greinke was Arizona Diamondback. They're now playing a National League team. The National League has seen Garrett Cole more than the American League, so Garrett Cole can dominate the American League. But the National League is used to Garrett Cole. Same thing for Zach Greinke. He struggled against the American League because he's been a National League pitcher. So now he's getting to play against a National League team. He goes back to being Zach Greinke. So to me, it's just baseball, and that's why I told people to relax. It's going to come back around. But if you're not a baseball fan, it doesn't make sense to you that I didn't get panicked that the Astros were down 2-0.
Well, the thing is with this city in particular, you got to realize one thing. With them on this take it back bandwagon and the way they played against the New York team, a lot of people actually thought this was going to be a sweep because the Nationals came from, here's a stat that people didn't realize that I found out. If you betted on the Nationals at the beginning of this season to make it to the final, if you put $100 on the Nationals to make it to the World Series, you would have made a grand total of $15,572.
Man, I should have took that bet.
Man, you ain't lying. I looked over, especially the fact that they just lost Bryce Harper. But they're in the finals, like it or not. I think they played motivated because of that.
Well, they're a better team when you're not relying on one person.
True. That is a truth, especially in baseball. When you have, that's the real reason why it's sad to say your Yankees and your Red Sox are always in, because
they
the
spend
evil
more
empires,
money, and it's not about
they spend more
player.
money and they have a lot more players. This is, again, I hate to tell people, basketball is the only sport out of the major sports, and I'm going to add soccer to that mix, that one player can dominate and change the whole game.
Yeah,
no other sport can do that. Because if Altuve goes 5 for 5 and hits 5 home runs, they could still fucking lose a game.
Because
if your pitcher ain't... Exactly. But I still got faith in the Astros. I'm not going to lie. I'm torn because I want to see the Astros win because I'd like to see the city I'm living in, win a championship. I'd like to see Garrett Cole win a championship just because the fact of the matter is he came out of the Pittsburgh Pirates and they were nice enough to trade him. It's like, dude, you're not going to win with us, so we're going to trade you and get a bunch of foreign players. So I'm cool with that. And he was grateful for the Pirates organization, told him everything he wanted to hear, blah, blah, blah. But the Seed Mattress Mac lose $3.5 million is not exactly something like that.
You and Mattress Mac, bro.
I'm like, hey, you lost 3.5, buddy. And all these people, my manager is one of those ones who went and bought a whole bunch of furniture from Gallery Furniture, and she's watching the game every day like, oh my God, I don't have to pay for this $3,000 mattress.
Yeah.
Like, if you lose, I'm just sitting there like, I come in the next day, like every time the Astros have lost, I've come in and tell her like, yo, you know you're the bad link, right? Stop watching baseball. They may win. So I'm not going to lie. But go Stros. I'm still going to root for the Stros.
I'm still rooting for the Stros in 7. All righty. So
yeah, I'm going to go 7 as well.
For the most part, that's our show. The last thing we're going to do is our little rant of the week. This week I want to talk about the social media response to the reaction of a quarterback sneak of Patrick Hill with an ankle injury. Because any other quarterbacks ever had a dislocated kneecap on a quarterback sneak in the history of the National Football League. Like, dude, it's a safe play. Quarterbacks rarely, if ever, get hurt on this play. Yes, Andy Reid wanted a first down. He got the first down. Unfortunately, the worst thing possible could happen, that Patrick Mahomes got hurt. It happened. It was a freak injury that probably will never happen again in the history of the National Football League. So the coach played the odds. He did what he was supposed to do. Try to get a first down with his quarterback. Not hand the ball off to the fullback who has all of 5 carries for the entire season. Get over it. Coach made a call. That call was made. Unfortunately, Patrick got hurt. It's actually probably good that he got hurt. Now he can actually rest his ankle, which was keeping him from being Patrick Mahomes. A dislocation happens. Receivers dislocate fingers every game, pop them back into place, and keep playing. Even Patrick Mahomes thought he could play again at the end of the game last week. Get over it, folks. Patrick Mahomes is a football player. He's a quarterback. He's subject to get hurt. Coaches do what they need to do to win games. I'm glad he's sitting out this week, and I pray to God he sits out at least one more. I'm still a Chiefs fan. I'm a Mahomes fan, and I want him to play for the next 15 years. Not so much worried about this next 3 games. Thank you for listening to my rant, and thank you for listening to UnderDawg Sportz. I'm KCReginaldJr.
It's your man J-Dub in the building.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
Peace.
Hey, sports fans! This year's biggest series in baseball features the Astros from Texas, the Lone Star State, versus the Nationals from Washington, D.C. D.C. is on a winning streak. We are first in hockey and first in women's basketball. Onward to winning the series and onward to becoming America's 51st state. Let's go, Nats! Learn more about Washington, D.C., the 51st state. Visit statehood.dc.gov. Paid for by the Office of the Senior Advisor. Hey, sports fans! This year's biggest series in baseball features the Astros from Texas, the Lone Star State, versus the Nationals from Washington, D.C. D.C. is on a winning streak. We are first in hockey and first in women's basketball. Onward to winning the series and onward to becoming America's 51st state. Let's go, Nats! Learn more about Washington, D.C., the 51st state. Visit statehood.dc.gov. Paid for by the Office of the Senior Advisor.